Whew, that is today's session done. Just about to get in the car to drive home. I'll apologise in advance if when I get in the car you hear a relatively loud noise. It is because I'm probably going to have to put the heaters on full whack because it's bloody cold today. I don't know if I was expecting it to be quite this chilly. I thought it'd be a bit colder, but I think it was 2 degrees when I got in the car to come to the gym. So that was slightly unexpected. But here we go. Let's see what we can do. We're in. Let me just turn that down. Whew. A pretty decent back and hamstring session had. Just try and reverse without crashing into everything. Here we go. Yeah, pretty decent back and hamstring session. Again, a little bit later than I would ideally have liked it to be. Just life, again, doing what life likes to do. Everything being a little bit manic. To be honest, a lot of it is because I have been sleeping terribly recently. Absolutely terribly. Just loads and loads on my mind, I think, is the main issue at the moment. I think I'd obviously mentioned not too long ago that I've been working with the life coach psychologist, and he's got me thinking about a hell of a lot of things. And I think a lot of those things are just buzzing around my head continuously. And a lot of it's just really just digging into who I am, like digging into my core values, what it is that I value, what it is I want like from life, what I want out of my relationships, my parenting, my business. Like, it's a really, really deep process to think about. And I'll be honest, I don't think anyone, unless you're really challenged to do it in a situation like this, I don't think it's something people think about. You know, I mean, I certainly haven't thought about it in quite this level of depth. I've had moments where I've done quite a lot of internal work, like when I think, there's been various different moments. I think, a couple of key ones that I can think about, like when my former long-term relationship broke down, like that led me into quite a deep thought process, because I'd spent a long time with someone and all of a sudden I was like by myself, and so that required me to really think about who I am and what I want, and that was one of the big ones. And then the second time was when I left the finance world, just because all I'd known was finance for 15 years, I was straight out of school, I was straight into studying accounting, into work as part of an apprenticeship. All I knew was accounting for a long, long, long time. And suddenly I'm in this situation where that comfort, I guess, that security blanket, that thing that has just been in my life for a long time, all of us, literally like overnight, it wasn't. So those are the bigger two moments where I've had to do that. And then if I actually think about what's happened to me since I left that finance world, a hell of a lot. I've left that 15-year career behind. I've started coaching. I've moved countries. I'm in a new relationship. I've had a child. These are big, big life-changing moments that I don't think I've ever really stopped to really think about and process. You do it, right? Because that's life. It's happening to you, and you just sort of have to get on with stuff. But yeah, it's just been like I said, a pretty interesting process for sure, but one that's really, really pushing me, challenging me, making me think about a lot of stuff. And I think as a result of that, I haven't been sleeping great because there's just a lot of stuff on my mind. So I'm hoping sleep is going to improve. I've got another call with Andy on Saturday morning, to talk about the next bits, stuff that I've been working on, stuff that he's pushed and challenged me to think about. So I will give you a little bit more of an update next week. But yeah, I wanted to just sort of jump on and say, like, sleep for me is an issue at the moment. I know sleep is something that a lot of people do find quite a battle, whether that's because kids are keeping you up, whether it's because, you know, there's a lot on your mind and work is keeping you up. You know, it's something that I've always been pretty good at managing. And at the moment, it's something that I'm needing to work on that little bit more. So when I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning with every intention to go to the gym, I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and genuinely feel like I've had about an hour's sleep. What are you doing, you bloody idiot? Genuinely feel like I've had about an hour's sleep. So someone just pulled out right in front of me and now they're not even in the right side of the road. Man, I hate French drivers. The worst. So yeah, anyway, I'll stop whinging and moaning about the driving situation. I'm just about to get home, so quickly jump in the shower. Lots more work to be getting on with. Lots more thinking to do, which is just all my brain seems to be doing at the moment. And I know what you're thinking. That's what your brain's for, you moron. But yeah, it's definitely a lot going on at the minute. But anyway, I will catch up with you all soon. What is good, guys? That is the push session done. Hopefully you can hear me all right, because I've got the full on get the mist off the car. It is, you might be able to see out the window actually. It's really, really foggy today. Can barely see anything at all. It's actually got worse as the morning's gone on. It wasn't too bad earlier on, but yeah, it's pretty bad now. So not sure how long that's going to last. It's probably going to last all day. It's probably going to be another really, really shitty day of weather. But there we go. We have to cope with these things, right? But the push session was good. The first movement I felt a little bit weak on, my flat pressing, which I'd made some good progress on last week. So for that to then fall away progress-wise is a little bit frustrating, but these things happen. My incline pressing felt a bit stronger. So swings and roundabouts, you can't win them all. But yeah, not too bad a session. And I was actually, it just made me laugh because I was just doing my cardio at the end there, and I've always been staring right at this building, and it's probably clocked in my head, but I've just never really thought of it in these terms. Literally directly opposite the gym is one of those, you know, those electro stimulation places. Basically, essentially you just get electrocuted, and the big sign on the front says 20 minutes equals 4 hours of exercise. You know, trying to basically say to anyone, why bother going to the gym for 4 hours a week when you can just come in here for 20 minutes? And I think there's also a sign, I wasn't entirely sure because sometimes my translation of these things isn't spot on, but I'm pretty sure they've also got a sign outside that's basically saying, why go and sweat over directly opposite when you can just come in here? Which, I mean, it's just, I absolutely hate this stuff. Everyone looking for the easy way out. Just nobody is prepared to put in any kind of hard work anymore. And it's so frustrating because all of these things are just complete nonsense as well. Even the very concept, why would you want to go and get electrocuted for 20 minutes? What? I just don't understand it. And for me, the gym's way more than that as well. It's a place where people go to benefit their mental health. It's more than just sitting there being electrocuted because it might burn a few calories. You know, that's doing nothing for your heart health, for your general fitness, for your muscle strength. It's just, yeah, complete and utter bollocks. So that was one thing that came into my mind while I was doing my little bit of cardio on the treadmill. The other thing that also, I have these little thoughts every now and again as well. Cardio apparently is quite a reflective time for me. So Louis has just started saying "t'aime," which is a little bit of an abbreviated version of "je t'aime," and it just made me think of the nuances of language. So in French, "je t'aime" translates as "I love you," which has always made me laugh a little bit because aimer, so which is where aim comes from. So A-I-M-E-R, aimer, means to like, and adore, A-D-O-R-E-R, means to love. So if you're talking about an object, for example, like if I was talking about, so if I said, j'aime la salle de sport, that's I like the gym. If I wanted to say I love the gym, I'd say j'adore la salle de sport. But when it comes to people, the concept of, you'd think the phrase that would be I love you would be je t'adore, because that's like the literal use of adore. But in fact, it's je t'aime, and it's almost like to say I love you, you actually say I like you. So yeah, just a very weird nuance of language, which I thought I'd share with you because it made me think while I was doing my cardio. But there we go. Just driving home through the fog, and then quick shower, check-ins to be getting back to, more plans to write this afternoon, a bit of a learning call to jump on as well, because we make sure that we're keeping on top of the education. As I've said many times before, if you're not learning, you're standing still, and that is no way to be. So we have to keep learning, we have to keep being challenged, because that is where the growth comes from. And I would be home far quicker if this person in front wasn't driving like an absolute fool. Honestly, the drive to the gym this morning was so slow. Like the fog wasn't even that bad, but you'd think people couldn't see 2 yards ahead of them. That's how slow they were driving. And to be completely honest, if you couldn't see far enough ahead of you with the very lightness of the fog this morning, I would hazard a guess that you shouldn't be driving a car, because I would think if you went and got your eyes tested, they'd be pretty fucking terrible. But that's what we're facing, and this car in front of me right now is driving very, very slowly indeed. But anyway, we'll get there. But yeah, we'll leave this little part of the video here. Come on, it's your right away. We'll leave this little, sorry, I'm getting a bit road ragey. I think I did this in yesterday's little video as well. Honestly, every time I record these videos and I'm driving in the car, the rage comes out. I'm ordinarily a pretty laid back, a pretty placid type of guy, but driving, honestly, it is it's one that really gets my frustrated side out, shall we say. Anyway, I'll leave this one here before you hear me properly effing and blinding. What is good, people? It is Monday lunchtime, just creeping into the afternoon. And after a very grey and cold start, another frost having to be scraped off, which I wasn't expecting, we've got a bit of sunshine. So trying to make the most of getting out for a bit of a walk. Also, while I'm going to be jumping on a webinar shortly as well, and I quite like to listen to those things whilst I'm out for a walk, so I can sort of kill two birds with one stone. Speaking of birds, usually up in a tree up there, that tree there, usually there's a woodpecker in there, which is pretty cool. Because I'm not sure how many times I've actually seen a woodpecker in real life, but there is one that lives in that tree. So at some point I'll try and capture him for you. But yeah, we are Monday afternoon, a good weekend, fairly busy one. Took Louis swimming on Saturday morning, and then both Louis and I had haircuts on Saturday afternoon. So both looking fresh, ready to start another month, which is always nice. Although you can't actually see my hair at the moment because it's cold, so I've got the hood up. But here we go, freshly trimmed. This week has been a really good week from a training point of view, and I also had a really good catch up with Andy, my life coach stroke psychologist, at the weekend. I can't remember whether I did mention in the last video, but I'd been really getting in my head, feeling like super just overwhelmed and negative about a lot of stuff, which is really unlike me. It just isn't something that I ordinarily find myself in a situation of doing. But I had a really good chat with him, just really open, and said, you know, this is where I'm at, this is how I'm feeling. And he gave me some really useful advice, which I'll definitely be taking on board. And a lot of it comes back to gratitude is a big one. So in those moments where things feel very negative, just really, really leaning into gratitude, because being grateful is almost like the polar opposite of being negative. So I just need to get myself back into good habits with the gratitude practice. And it is about practice. It is about making sure that you keep doing it. And, you know, he and I had a bit of a joke about it, because it's a bit like mobility work in the gym. Most people will start to do some form of mobility work when there's a problem, when they feel a particular tightness, when there's some sort of injury. People will do that mobility work, they'll stretch, and then as soon as it's better, just get sacked off. Gratitude can be a bit like that as well. People tend to use it when they feel like there's an actual problem or like a specific need. And then once that little hurdle has been overcome, you tend to sort of sack it off a little bit. I do think I've got generally a pretty grateful mind and a pretty sort of grateful, down to earth attitude to most things. But even I have my moments, you know, when it feels like everything's piling up, when it feels like life just continues to throw negative things at you. You know, it can be hard sometimes to break that cycle, and that is where the gratitude comes in. So something to keep in mind yourselves, if you are someone who finds that you can get into little negative spirals, and it's easy to spiral too. One negative thing happens and then it becomes very easy to focus on the negatives. And I do often talk about that to clients as well. And a very common situation where that occurs is, you know, someone jumps on the scales and it doesn't say what they want it to or what they're expecting to. And so that negativity then starts to spill over into, oh, well, it must mean that, you know, I look like shit. It must mean that everything's not worth it. Completely spiral out of control, when that number on the scale is literally just a point in time. You know, the example I always like to give, you could look at yourself in the mirror before you stepped on that scale and be super, super happy, buzzing, energy levels are good, had a fantastic night's sleep, training's been going really well, diet's on point, look in the mirror, love what you see. The moment you jump on those scales and it says, you know, the number's gone up from yesterday, and then everything, oh no, I don't look very good, I look like shit, I must do because the scale tells me I do. You know, it's very easy to get in those negative spirals, and we shouldn't, because there's more to life. But back onto my check-in type stuff that I usually do on the Mondays. So pretty much maintained this week from a weight point of view. I'm about 0.3, if that, just under 0.3 of a pound up this week, which is basically maintaining. There was one particular, I think it might have been yesterday's or today's reading on the scale, was a slightly sort of bump that would have taken the average up, but otherwise pretty stable. And I suspect this week might well be the week that Christian makes some changes, because I'm looking at a photo shoot probably the third week of May. So with the third week of May in mind, we're probably talking, Feb, March, April, we're probably talking about 14, 15 weeks, which is a good amount of time to start getting into that shoot prep mode. So obviously, I'll update you with that tomorrow, once I've heard back from Christian, once I've checked in, pictures will follow. And then on the assumption that we're going to commence a bit of a shoot prep, the shoot prep series will begin, and it will signal an end to this 7-month bulking phase, which I believe has been successful. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. So it's a while since I've been in shoot condition, that's for sure. It's a while since I've been like lean. Yeah, certainly well before Louis was born. I'm trying to think when. I think the last photo shoot I did was in 2022. Has it been that long? December 22? It's probably been like 3.5 years, which is pretty mad. So it's overdue, but I will keep you posted as and when I hear back tomorrow. What is good, guys? So there we have it. The check-in has been sent across. The check-in reply has been sent back. And as predicted, the changes are coming. The shoot prep is underway. So today will be today. Yeah, today. The first of those changes are going to get implemented. I'm going to pop the pictures up so you can see from the very beginning of this current growth phase to where it's ended, which is today. And then over the next 14, 15, 16 weeks, depending on when the shoot actually gets booked in, I'll take you through the shoot prep process. So I may start to slightly rename these, because obviously this has been part of like the growth phase. So we could get a little bit of a shoot prep series underway, but I will keep everyone posted as that happens. So the pictures will be here. Have a little look. The growth phase is there. I'm actually just going to confirm, total weight up in that phase. So we ended this at 179, 180 pounds. And when we began, we were down at 160. So about 20 pounds up in the space of 31 weeks, I believe. 20 pounds up, 31 weeks, pretty decent, average rate. We're looking at about 2/3 of a pound per week. Really, really solid rate of gain. Haven't got crazy fat. I mean, my own head is going to look at those pictures and think, yeah, you look a bit chubby, but that's the nature of a little bit of body dysmorphia creeping in. But I'm very excited to get a shoot booked in. Like I touched on yesterday, I think it was December 2022 was the last time I stepped in front of camera. So it has been, by the time we get to May, when I'll step in front of that camera again, we are talking 3.5 years. And I'm always excited, like shoot to shoot, you notice the differences in the physique, and it's a really good way to tell like if progress is getting made, to be honest, being able to compare body weight shoot to shoot, but probably more importantly, just comparing the visuals, seeing, right, this is what we achieved in 2022. Where are we now, middle of 2026? And I'm also quite looking forward to like a summer shoot, because, the December one that I did in 2022 was absolutely Baltic. Like we were going for a proper cold snap. I remember driving down with Ash, one of my clients, and the temperature hit -10. It was so cold. And because we were shooting with Matt Marsh in his studio, and anyone that knows Matt Marsh's studio, it's like an old warehouse. It was freezing. It was absolutely freezing. I think we were like the first clients in there, so there hadn't been people in there able to get the heating on and warm it up. Super cold, but it was fun. It made it certainly an experience. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to shoot with Matt this time, unfortunately, because he doesn't appear to be available the dates that I'm looking at. So it could be a different photographer, which will be a good experience. I've always used Matt in the past. He's a fantastic photographer, and I love using him. He's who I recommend clients use as well. But it's also going to be a great experience to see what else is out there, to get a different style of shot. So yeah, it's going to be fun. But I will take you through this as we go. So the first changes that have been implemented as of today: 125 grams of carbs coming off my training day, 150 grams of carbs coming off my rest day. So 500 calories down on training day, 600 calories down on rest days. Everything else remains the same. A nice big dent in the food. My food had been built up to a really, really good level. So, I was up at around 600-700 grams of carbs on my training days. So, knocking those down a decent chunk, up at to sort of 400-500 on my rest days. So again, knocking a decent chunk of those, but there's still plenty to play with. There's still plenty available. And, with 500-600 calories coming off each day, we're going to make a pretty big dent in things very, very quickly, which is the goal. Get things off to a flying start, and if anything, get ready early. I said to Christian in my check-in, even if my shoot ends up being towards the end of our trip, I would rather be ready before we move across, because I can do all my prep at home. Everything becomes much easier. And it's probably going to be much easier for me to like maintain that physique whilst traveling all over England, as we do when we go and see everyone, than trying to like keep up with prep or push prep even further when we're in different places every couple of days. So yeah, the shoot is going to get booked in. I'll obviously update when the confirmed date goes in, but I'm looking forward to it. So here is the start of shoot prep, and I will keep you posted as always, week to week, with any changes, the physique updates, and general life going through prep with with a little person, my little boy there. Family life, running a business, everything that comes with that. So I'll give you the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.